What's up, guys? It's your boy Will coming at you with a deck profile, and in today's deck profile, as you can see, we are doing the best Cursed Dragon deck profile as of 2022. So let's not take too long to get into this, and let's just do it. But first, I'd like to shout out this Car Expo flag. It's looking extra clean, and this SP. But all right, without further ado, let's start out with our size 3. We got our Overturn Abigail. You know why I play him, but for those of you who don't, you essentially pay 3 gauge, you get an extra turn after this one, but you just can't attack, which is fine. But he's really nice for that reason, because he helps facilitate the win condition easier. Black Dragonite Ozam. Can only call it once per turn. You pitch a hand card to grab a Cursed Dragon size 1 or a Cursed Dragon set spell from deck and add it to hand. So he's your consistency tutor card, but there are so many other ways to tutor stuff and toolbox, so it's just quite easy. Don't need 4. Otherwise, he's bricky. Next, we got 4 copies of the magnificent Buddy Rare Black Dragonite Gale. So this is your main card that you're going to be looping because you pay a gauge to call him, and then if he's destroyed, you pay a life and add him back to hand and put a card underneath your opponent's flag, which is your win condition. And then when you call him again, if there's a card underneath your opponent's flag, destroy a card on your opponent's field, which isn't really relevant, but when it's there, it's cute. Super helpful, obviously, for the deck. Next, we got our first card from Ragnarok. 4 copies of March of Silver Moon Gale Luna. Super awesome card. When he enters the field, you can add a Cursed Dragon set from deck or drop to hand, which is helpful when you gauge a set and it's in the drop. Kind of can play around that as well. And then at the start of your opponent's turn, if you have a card underneath your opponent's flag, you gain 3 life. And then if there's 8 or more, you draw a card. So if you have all 3 out, you can gain 9 life and draw 3 cards, which is insane. Such a good card. I love it. Plus, with this one other card that came out in Ragnarok, it's super spicy. Arbol. He's your Dragon Emperor Legend on legs. Very strong card. It's not once per turn. It's Dragon Emperor Legend on legs, not once per turn. There's not much really to say about it besides it's strong. And then for items, we have 4 copies of Gale Blade. We play 4 because it's protection and it's not once per turn. So if you have all 4 in your hand and you have 4 gauge, you can do it 4 times and draw 4 cards, which is really nice because you essentially break even. Plus, you're facilitating your win condition even more. And then next we have 4 copies of Sentence of Curse. This is the win condition because you have to have it out on the field. At the start of your opponent's turn, you place a card underneath their flag, which actually is really nice because it combos with Gale Luna as well, because you can stack them so that this resolves first, then Gale Luna. And if there's 15 or more underneath your opponent's flag, you win the game. And then this card cannot be destroyed or returned to hand as well. It's got some caked in protection. And then you got your draw spell, Curse Ritual. Destroy a Cursed Dragon on the field. And then you gain 2 life, draw 2 cards. And then if your opponent has 2 or more cards in their flag, draw a card again. So you gain 2 life, draw 3, which is very easy with this build. Probably a strong claim, but I've won about 90% of the games with this deck going first or like going second because of some cards that I will show shortly. And then we have 4 copies of the lovely triple rare foil Devil's Stigma. You cannot cast this during final phase, which is fine. You don't really worry about it then. And then destroy a monster on your field. If you do, you gauge 2 cards and a life. Typically, you're only getting a gauge, realistically, or breaking even at worst, because you paid a gauge to call Gale. You're popping him, you're paying the life, so you're even on life, and then you're gonna call him again. So you're essentially breaking even, but it it helps kind of facilitate the engine. And then next up, we've got 2 copies of Light of Destiny. So this card, you put the top card of your deck into the gauge, and then you search for a monster with critical 2 or less with Abigail or Gale in its card name, and you add it to hand, and it's once per turn. It's pretty good. Searches out both your Gales. And then next we have one of my favorite cards in Buddy Fight, Curse Grip. So you destroy a Curse Dragon on the field, monster specifically. Choose a card in your opponent's field and destroy it. Or if you have 6 or more cards underneath your opponent's flag, you just slurp it into their flag instead, which is very awesome. I have tilted a lot of people who didn't know that part and just broke their board with it, and it's so satisfying. It's such a fun card. It's so awesome that they have a Brawl Zeus card. It really is. And then we've got Curse Decline in case we don't win turn 1. If you have 8 or more cards underneath their flag, you can cast it for free. Otherwise, it's 2 gauge in a life, which is really steep for an effect that's not that great right now. Choose 3 cards in your opponent's field, and for the turn, they get minus 8,000 power, defense, and minus 2 crit, which is alright, but like I said, it's meh right now. And then we got Curse Field, our second Curse Dragon set spell. When a card is put under your opponent's flag by card effect, by our card effects, you charge and draw, which is really nice because it's, even though it's once per turn, but it's still once every turn, especially with Curse Sentence of Curse, where it's triggered at least once every turn that way. And then at the start of the battle, each player's battle phase, you can call a size 1 or less, or a size 1 specifically, Curse Dragon from drop by paying its call cost, which typically was Arbol, but since Ragnarok, it's Arbol or Gale Luna, just kind of depending, but Arbol is the better choice in my opinion because you get Dragon Emperor Legend off of it, unless you have enough to set up for the end of the turn. And then next we have 3 copies of Underration, our extender. So you can put up to 1 Curse Dragon monster from drop into hand, and then if your opponent has 2 or more cards under their flag, you gain 2 life, 3 or more, you gain 2 gauge, which is really nice because, like I said, it's your extender. It kind of helps keep things going, especially if, good stuff. It's good stuff. And then next we have 4 copies of another quote-unquote defensive card. It's defensive if you need it to be, but not necessarily, especially with how the deck is currently built. Destroy a Curse Dragon on the field so you can counter pop something to react and essentially nullify the attack. Choose one of the following 2 effects, and you can only cast this card once per turn. You either gain 3 gauge or 4 life. I usually go for the gauge just because the deck is super gauge hungry, especially with this card that I will be showing very soon. It just eats away your gauge, but it's super satisfying. And then next up, we've got 2 copies of 100 Demon Sorcery, Death Sacrifice. It's just such a great card, especially when you have 3 Gales on the field. You pop as many monsters on your field as you'd like, and then you draw cards equal to the number. So essentially you're going +3 regardless, but you're going +6 if you have 3 Gales. I think that's how the math would be. And it's super fun. Super helpful, especially when you draw into more combo pieces. And then the next card is one of my favorites as well. 4 copies of Curse Count. This is the other card from Ragnarok for Curse Dragons. It's super fun. Super good card. It's super silly, especially with how well it synergizes with Gale Luna, which I think that was the intention. But you pay 2 gauge to set. If a Curse Dragon monster is on the field, damage you take is reduced by 1, which is really nice, but also doesn't matter too much. At the end of your turn, put 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck under their flag. Now, in case you didn't notice, it doesn't specify that I can only have 1 set. And that's kind of why I was saying with Curse Light, you typically go for the gauge because you want to, and Arbol, because you want to ramp as much gauge as you can. Set 4 of these at once and pass turn, because that's 8 cards underneath their flag per turn. Plus with Gale Luna, you're gaining 9 life, drawing 3 cards. And this is all best case scenario, mind you. So it's super fun. When it works, it works. It's awesome. And people get super frustrated because it went from a super slow deck to a super fast deck. And that is it for the deck profile. That like that for you. If you liked it, leave a like and comment down below if you'd like to make any changes or have any personal like ideas on how you would change it or how you would build the deck. If there are any other decks you'd like to see deck profiles for, also leave them down below. I will try to make as many as I can, but that might take some time. And with that, I will see you guys next time. Peace.